Thank you so much for joining me and Dave again for Pursuit of Truth. This is part 3 of a few topics that I'm trying to go through with my personal pursuit of truth. And I'm hoping that those watching, those tuning in, watching this now, and those on a playback will be able to resonate with some of the things about this public conversation I'm about to have with Dave. Some of the topics that I want to run through today are topics such as Freeman-on-the-Land, our right to travel, exercising our right to travel, common law, and the question of, do we know who we are? Within the bigger scheme of things, in the infrastructure that we have to live in, on the land that we're only permitted to go on, what are the parameters of that, and how can we use them to our advantage to try and navigate this system as best as possible, be it that most of the people that this will resonate with and that are watching are mainly woke people to some variant of degree. So thank you so much, Dave, for joining me again today.
You're welcome. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you. And by the time this airs, we'll have gone to Speaker's Corner. So I want to thank you so much for taking the effort and time to come up to London again to do this, because I feel that this is going towards social acceptance. Speaking about one of the biggest lies ever told in public brings it off of the internet and makes it tangible for people. It's the real human interaction, because there is a massive misconception that this conversation is only online. And if you watch a video on YouTube, then that just makes you just as silly as people that think potatoes grow on trees. You know?
Yeah, well, I enjoy going up to Speaker's Corner and even Trafalgar Square. It was good getting out there and talking to people.
So I want to get stuck straight in, and I want to start with Freeman-on-the-Land. Freeman-on-the-Land is a subject that I started to delve into a few years ago, but I feel that I only scraped on the surface because there were so many other things going on with my pursuit of truth at the time. I was like, I'll come back to that. And I feel like, as I said to you, I feel like it was a bit of a text message that I thought I sent, when you kind of visualize yourself sending a text and then you don't follow through, but you've convinced yourself you did it. And that's really where I'm coming from with this. I know that it's there. I know that we have particular rights. I feel that I know them to a certain degree. However, I don't feel that I'm utilizing them in my life in the right way and getting the most out of things as a result of that. With regards to Freeman-on-the-Land, what have you come across within your pursuit of truth and uncovered as far as things that we have in our everyday life that we are just bypassing and not realizing?
Sure. Well, I literally started looking at it back in 2008, 2007, 2008. Again, it was starting with 9/11. You just end up going into different rabbit holes. So yeah, what I've really discovered is that there is, just like everything else in the system, there's a parallel system, and it's always called a system next to the truth. Okay, so like you've got health and you've got the healthcare system. So you've got natural health and the healthcare system. You got law and you've got the legal system. Okay, so what has been replaced here is the law. It's been replaced with the legal system. Okay, we know what the law is. Yeah, we have the law imprinted on our hearts, and essentially it's the 10 Commandments. It's what's written in that book, the do's and don'ts, and we all know them. We know it's wrong to kill, we know it's wrong to steal, we know it's wrong to tell lies. But the legal system has come along and overlaid the law and essentially legalized all the laws. So you can legally kill, you can legally steal, you can legally, it happens every single day. And the point is that we live in a world of common law, but increasingly they're forcing this legal system, statute law, on top of us. And yeah, it's about navigating that and understanding where you sit in that whole process, because for one thing, you don't realize the power you have and the power you're exercising and you're just giving away at every step without knowing. So that's kind of like the overview of it.
And that's just it. With the authoritative side of the system that we live in, we don't realize that half the time when we engage in with the authoritative side of the system, that we are giving some of our rights away just by the way we are structuring our responses. Sometimes the submission in its own right is you detaching it from, it's not the right word, but it's like when you submit, you lose a few rights just by that submission.
You consent to their system,
yeah.
Essentially. Now, the way you end up consenting is, well, imagine if you were in a hospital and you're surrounded by doctors, and you started saying, just talking about your life and just normal, and you used words like inflamed. Okay. Now you think of the word inflamed as getting angry and expressive and stuff, but the word inflamed to a doctor means something else. It means a medical term, for so something erupting on the skin or whatever. Yeah. So when you're speaking that way in that sort of venue, then your words mean something completely different to those people in that venue. Okay. So what they've done essentially is they've created this language, this parallel language called legalese, which looks like English, sounds like English, uses all English words, but all those words have been redefined to mean something else. So whenever you're in a legal context, and that doesn't just mean when you're in court, it means when you are talking to a policeman, when you're talking to a corporation, you're in a legal context. So you're speaking to that person in in English. He's hearing legalese. So you end up speaking a completely different language to this person, saying and admitting to and consenting to all sorts of different things without you even realizing. And that's how they get you. They need your consent, because the difference between law and the legal system, the statute laws, acts and statutes, is that law is law. Yeah, if it's law no matter what happens, where you are, whatever. Yeah, but statutes and acts, they only become law if you consent to them. Yeah, that's how it works. So
it's by way of consent that makes it real, that makes it a reality in your life. In that sense,
I could make in my house, I could make a rule that you're only allowed to wear your right shoe. Okay, you're only allowed to wear your right shoe in my house. Okay, do you consent to my law? It only becomes law to you if you consent to it. If you know about it, and if you don't know about it and you walk in with both shoes, right, you're not liable because you don't know about it.
Correct. Yeah. But if you consented to it, you're now liable.
Now it becomes law.
Yeah.
Now it becomes absolute law. But until you consent to it, it's not law. Okay. So there is no law about you going 90 miles an hour, in a suburb. There's no law.
Right.
No, it's not a good idea, but there's no law. But if you actually consent to that statute, that rule, now it becomes law.
I mean, with what you're saying, I don't know how many other people this is going to resonate with. It might sound a little bit strange to other people. But as you're talking about that, what's really striking me is, again, with my pursuit of truth, that one thing that bothers me is how humans have been moved around the place and how we've been really detracted from who we are. And I do feel like law in its own right is also implemented to keep us divided from getting over any kind of fences as far as legal hurdles with regards to our right to travel. And I feel that this right to travel has come instinctively from farming the humans. and putting restrictions on the humans. I don't have any proof of that, so I'm not making any claims. I don't have any proof that we're being farmed, other than the fact that we're restricted and the land is governed. And even if I wanted to walk away from society and live a nomadic life, I'd still be governed by the laws of the land of which I live in. Because where is no man's land, Dave? Where can I go? Is there somewhere where I can go where I don't have to submit to the laws of some kind of governing body within that country?
Oh, there is one place.
Tell me, I'm ready. Let's go.
The Sentinelese Islands.
The Sentinelese Island.
Yeah, there's a people there called the Sentinelese, or who haven't been contacted by the world yet.
What a lucky bunch.
We know about them. Well, you might have heard of the story where a Christian decided to go there and try and convert them to Christianity. So he against the laws there to say don't contact these people. He went over.
Why would you try and take religion to them, please? What is wrong with some people?
Well, fortunately, and I'm going to say fortunately, these people did what everybody should have done, thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago, right? This guy landed on their island and they killed him. They killed him right there, and because they literally know what's coming, and the sad thing is there's another island called the Andaman Islands very close to it, and maybe 20 years ago there were a group of people who hadn't ever been contacted, but these people were more trusting, so they allowed outsiders to come in, and then all of a sudden there was like a tourist industry built up around visiting these people. And what would happen was these Western men would turn up there and introduce the local girls to alcohol and drugs, take them out into the forest and rape them, and now that culture, those people have been destroyed because of this invasive species that have gone in there and literally ravaged them. And
it does make you wonder how many cycles of that have gone on in the past, which is where we are now.
And well, that's almost the history of the world, essentially. But fortunately, the Sentinelese, they're not playing. So you go to their island. Whenever there's a helicopter that goes close to them to
they're doing on-site movements. They're doing on-site.
They're literally firing
asked.
arrows.
No questions
arrows up at
You're not landing here. Yeah.
Exactly.
They don't. So they understand. They understand what this is. They know what's coming. Like you said, they already know.
Yes.
So and I feel that was a little bit depicted in the movie Wonder Woman, where they were all on the island and it was all the women, and they were protected because of the horrendousness, and I think it was the World War II plane or something managed to get through. He landed on the beach, all madness ensued. Their kind of calm, peaceful, we're not playing that game kind of lifestyle, and everything was working just fine there, without all of the guns and hellishness of the outside realm.
And this is why you haven't heard, or most people haven't heard of these people, because they've lived this life, this idyllic lifestyle for thousands of years, undisturbed, and they will continue to live their idyllic lifestyle for thousands of years more. And here we are in this society that is dying, essentially a few hundred years old, and it's already ravaging the earth and killing us off slowly.
The law aspect of things, the common law, our right to travel, exercising our right to travel, the whole issue of the law umbrella has been brought into because of farming, because of the farm has got so many humans in it that we're now at the extremities of the governed land. So it's not going to take very much for the people to work out, hold on, what are the extremities of that land and what have we been taught? Yeah, I'm not sure. And there. For me, the North and the South Pole, the fact that they claimed them both in 1909 and said to everybody it's a wrap, for me, that was the day that they completed the picket fence around the farm and went, here we go, everyone. There's your little Truman show. you guys can go there and really cold there, really cold there. And guess what? On the land that we do have, we're going to give you some rules and regulations, and we're going to just stop you just going anywhere you want, because that's crazy. And
well, you're missing a little point that we're on individual tax farms, and that's what it is. It's a tax farm, and when you realise that the money is literally your energy, that's what money is. That's what the value is of money.
Because isn't the birth certificate the kind of value of what your labour will be, in a sense? So you're born and you're given a value as, say you're born in the UK and they go, right, in 18 years from now, you're going to be eligible for work. You're going to be able to do that. We're going to hedge our bets on you. You're academically mediocre, astute. You've got and I feel that as we grow, the fusion part of it watches over us and hedges their bets on the labour, like a farm does. How many good cows have we got? How much milk are we going to yield? How much are we going to get yield from them in 15 years time?
Exactly.
It doesn't feel any different.
It's exactly because it's your birth certificate is traded on the stock market.
Right.
There are people making money, losing money on what you're going to do, how you're going to fare in this world.
Correct.
And that's it. You're being played,
Yeah. And I do feel that the international think tanks do have their role to play in that, because they monitor things internationally. And I feel like with what you're saying, the corporations of countries, they look at their labour forces like any company does and sees shortcomings in the future. They're able to forecast it because they've inputted so much data now since we lost everything.
We lost everything, going back to our earlier conversation, during the Renaissance, 1666. 666.
And that's the stickler for detail in me, and I hope a lot of other people that are listening to this resonate with this as well. That's the date that really grinds my gears.
Right. Well, in that year, there was the Great Plague. So we're starting to realise that was an engineered, event as well. Mm-hmm. And another engineered event was the Great Fire of London. Now, during the Great Fire of London, while it was still the city was still burning, Parliament sat and enacted the Cestui Act of 1666, basically declaring everyone dead, because people were dying of the plague and people were dying in the fire. They didn't know who was dead and who was not. So,
and shout out all my people that are watching from the UK, because I did a project on the Great Fire of London when I was in class 4, Mrs. Story's class at primary school. And I actually remember doing the project, and we were told to do the Great Fire of London picture, and we were given a massive A3 black paper, the black paper that they get the kids to draw with chalk, and we were given red and yellow tissue, and white silhouette buildings with the white frames so that we could do the moonlight on the buildings, and we had to depict our kind of silhouette image of a panoramic view of London burning. And I was in class 4 at the time, which I think would have made me 7 years old. That's what we were taught for a whole term. Our whole term was taken up for 7-year-olds learning about the Great Fire of London. And I just hope a lot of other people can remember. I'm hoping I've triggered a few memories. Just remember the black paper and the little and you get the Pritt stick or the glue, the PVC glue, and they're like, go on, scrunch it all up, children, make it look really flamey. And then if all the classes' pictures, and this is class 4's work of the Great Fire of London, or Henry VIII and his wives, or, Guy Fawkes. And I feel like these landmark dates are taught to us for a reason. We're not told what internationally went on for a reason, because the division's supposed to be there, isn't it?
Yeah, you're told the plausibly deniable story, so that you don't ever approach the real story. And
non-stick.
The real story of the Fire of London is that, while people were being burned and, the place was burning up, Parliament sat and enacted this law in French so that the English people wouldn't know what was in it. and it declared that everyone was dead. So the government were going to take everyone's share of the country, because, you know, everyone who is born here, you know, in whatever country they are, they literally have a stake in that country. So they have a share in you know, everything that country produces. Yeah, you have a share in it. Yeah, and that share's worth a whole lot. Okay, but in this act, the government assumed everyone's share of the country, and they would administer they'd become the shareholders. Okay, and everyone was given the opportunity that they had to declare themselves alive by the age of 7, and then they could take their share back. But the process in order to claim your share back wasn't ever published or anything. You don't know, nobody knows how to do that. So, you know, the deadline comes and goes, and so now the government is a shareholder and is administrating all, you know, is governing and controlling this world, because they believe they have the authority to do it, because they're, you know, everyone's dead, so we're going to have to you know, manage this. So that's one of the basic points of this control. And on the back of that, they created the birth certificate, so that it's another level of giving consent, because they want to get you to consent like a dozen different ways, so there's no doubt that you're consenting. So you know, when you're born, your mother and father are told to basically register your birth. Now, what most people don't realize is the word register. Remember that I was saying about redefining the words? So when you register something, it means that you hand over title ownership of what you're registering to whoever you're registering with. Yeah. So when you register your car, you're registering with the DVLA. So
Correct.
You're basically handing over ownership of your car to the DVLA, and they say, hey, you keep it for us. Now that you've given me your car, you keep it for me. Yeah. And you can be the keeper. You can be the registered keeper, but the DVLA still actually own it, because you've just given it to them. So when you register your children, you know, you hand over, you know, ownership of that child to the state. The state gives that child back to you and says, you know what, you can rent this child. That's why you're the parent. You're the pair that rents that child. Okay, so that's why you've got you know, you've got the state able to come in and take your child away from you at any time for any reason, because they own that child, or they feel they have the authority.
You have the duty, right, of care.
Yes, because that child is their property. And the same again, the next level of consent is that when, you know, you get married, okay, well, you know what, the marriage is supposed to be between, you know, your husband and wife, and the Most High. But again, the system has put themselves in there, so now you sign a contract that involves the state, and you register your marriage. Okay, so you've handed over your marriage to the state, and the state takes ownership of all the products of that marriage, which are children. So now you've given them the second level of consent. Yeah. So wow. You know, it's, you know, before we had this system, you know, marriage was a different thing. Marriage was two people saying, we want to stay together, you know, and become a family. And all their friends would come along and witness, and then the paternal, sort of the father's, I think it's the father's family, would write this down in the family Bible, the marriage in the family Bible, and that was it. That was a whole marriage thing. We call that a common law marriage. Okay. But then again, the state has in very recent recent history has come in and created this contract that everyone has to sign in order to be legally married. Again, that difference between law and legal. Yeah. And we accept that legal, something legal is law, and it's not.
It's not even down to the way our names are written in capitals as well.
Well, that's where I was actually getting to. The when that birth certificate is signed, the government basically creates a corporation in your name. And because we're ignorant of grammar and how the language works, we believe that your name in all capital letters is exactly the same as your name in mixed case or lowercase. No, they're completely different words because of the grammar involved, So when they sort of take possession of the birth certificate, they create your name, this corporation, your name in all capital letters, or your name with a title, a fictional title, Mr., Mrs., Miss, yeah? That indicates a corporation, doesn't indicate you. So if you look at your bills, you look at anything official that comes to you, it's either going to be in all capital letters, or it's going to have a title in front of it, yeah? That doesn't indicate you, it indicates this corporation, this fictional dead corporation, this dead entity. So what that is it's like you can imagine it like an overcoat, okay? Now the government, these entities, fictional entities like the government and these corporations, they can't deal with a flesh and blood person, yeah? They need to deal with other dead entities. So the overcoat is your dead entity, okay? And they can do whatever they want with this dead entity, this overcoat, yeah? Now, as soon as you put that overcoat on, now they can grab the overcoat with you in it and do whatever they want with it, okay? So, you go to court, the very first thing the judge will ask you, is your name, Dave Murphy, okay? Now you think, oh, he's calling my name, but the name on the piece of paper is in all capitals. So he's calling the fictional entity. You're saying, it's me. So now you're putting the overcoat on.
So you submitted. So now you've accept liability for what they're saying.
Yes. Now here's another word, identify. Yeah. In their world, the word identify means make the same as. So when you identify yourself, you're making yourself the same as the dead corporation, a fictional entity.
And in court, when you do that, until you identify yourself or make yourself known as, the assumption or liability still lies with the judge until you've taken it on.
Yes.
I'm not sure if I've got the wording correct there.
Yes, essentially, that's why they're motivated to make sure that you accept liability for things.
Yeah, because I've seen a couple of people in America, when they get stopped by the police, as soon as they're asked to roll down the window, they just keep repeating, I don't answer questions, I don't answer questions, I don't answer questions. For every question that they're being asked, they keep repeating, I don't answer questions. Sure. I don't answer questions. And they don't even say, I don't answer your questions. I'm not answering any questions. It's just, I don't answer, 4 words. I don't answer questions. And I'm like, the amount of police officers that just go, okay, and walk away. Like literally, like he's just put a gun to his head. And like you see a stunned look on this police officer's face. I'm wondering if I might be able to get a video for playback purposes to show you a clip of this. But the amount of times there's like a compilation one where the officers are coming up, the guy just goes, I don't answer questions. And the guy just goes, okay, fine. And it always starts with license and registration, please. And they just go, don't answer questions, and put the window back up, and job's a good one. And so like you said.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Good. Do you know this lady back here in the accident, or?
I don't answer questions.
Okay. Well, have a nice day, sir.
All right, thank you.
Job's a good one. And so, like you said, like there's a way to not submit, various different ways in various different countries. I'm not saying that's the only way, because I know that America's full of different states. I don't actually know what state that guy was in, so I know that's not going to work everywhere. But you know, there's so many different, like you said, it's about being aware of your rights and how to exercise them correctly, because incorrectly exercising these rights, like you said, can land you in a submissive position where you end up losing more than you end up having before you opened your mouth in the first place.
Yeah, and I was going to say it should work in all situations, because when the police stop you, they need evidence of something, and the only way they get evidence is to get you to confess to something. So every time you open your mouth, they're getting you to confess to something. If you don't answer questions, they can't get you to confess. You know, an example would be if you get a notice through your door for like a speeding ticket,
right?
Okay, and there's even a photograph of supposedly your car speeding or whatever. Yeah, all that's there is to get you to confess. Yeah, on the back of the thing it says, fill this form in to say that you were driving or who was driving at the time. That's a confession. Yeah. Without the confession, they've got nothing.
Right.
Okay. Again, it's your consent. It's you saying, yes, I actually got rid of a couple of speeding tickets and a congestion charge. That was quite funny. They had me. They had one on, a picture of what looked like my car on this, and they sent
I like
it to
how
me.
you worded that as well. A picture of what looked like my car, not a picture of my car. A picture of something that looked like my car. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how you said that.
But that's the point, though. I wrote back to them and said, "Oh, that's interesting. It looks very much like my car, but have you got any evidence? Because that picture isn't evidence. It's a picture. Could be photoshopped. It could be another car with a number plate that looked very much like my one. It could be anything. Have you got any evidence?" And all of a sudden it disappeared. They sent me some bullshit kind of, we're going to let you off this time because your insurance says this, and you should make sure that it was just something they just made up, and they just got rid of it. I also I had literally had 3 or 4 so-called violations, traffic violations. One of them was a speeding one, and I decided to actually go to court just to see how I'd do against a judge. So what was funny was this came hard on the heels of in 2011 when a whole bunch of us arrested a judge in Birkenhead. I don't know if you heard about that. All right, it was quite cool actually. One of our guys was in court about not paying council tax, and his approach was trying to get the judge on his oath, to admit to his oath, so that he had to become a judge to actually act as a judge. So he was going into court one day, and so we basically put out a call to all the freemen at the time to say, come down to Birkenhead. Right, we're not going to tell you what's going on. Right, we just want you to come down and bring a black umbrella with you. Okay. So we didn't know if anybody was going to turn up, but we got down there and we could see hundreds of people with black umbrellas.
Really?
800 people turned up.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, it was amazing. And so we had this like a military campaign. We sent a whole group of us over to the magistrates court to act as a distraction for the police. So the police all congregated there, and we went to the county court where the actual case was being heard. We went in. I was actually dressed as a lawyer, and I had my laptop in there, and I was streaming the whole thing to TNS radio.
Nice.
So we having a case, and the guy Roger was standing up there saying, "Okay, can you show me your oath?" And the judge wouldn't say anything and said, "Show me your oath." He said it 3 times, and he refused the 3rd time, and he said, "Arrest that man." And we had one guy make a kind of lunge for the judge, and the 2 police in the room went for him. And the second guy, who went round the side, went up to the judge, put his arm on the judge's shoulder and said, "You're under arrest. You don't need to say anything, and the whole spiel, yeah." And that's when we opened the doors of the court, and hundreds of people came into the court.
Wow.
And you can still find the video on YouTube. Yeah,
I think I'm going to have to give everybody a little
judge.
clip. Yeah, I'm going to have to give everybody a. I'm going to have to give everyone a sneak of that and pop the link in the description for that, because that sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I completely missed that. Completely.
Yeah. So my little court case, it was for speeding, and I just wanted to try my sort of luck against a judge. So this was maybe a month after Birkenhead.
Right.
So got to the court, and they had like half a dozen police vans outside the court, and inside the court there was in the lobby there was loads of police everywhere. I only came with like 20 people because I didn't want to have the whole circus.
Yeah. Understood.
But they literally had this huge police presence there.
Why?
And
Why?
When we
Intimidation.
went, because they knew that that I was involved with Birkenhead, and was going to be it looked like it was going to be another event like that. So when we tried to go into the court, they would only allow myself and 10 people, or was it 11 people, into that court, because they didn't want to have 12 people in that court and run the risk of them forming a jury. So they had a district judge, literally a district judge, sitting as like in a magistrate's court, over a speeding ticket. Yeah, so this district judge was there, and he wanted to play. He must have been like, imagine this guy just saying, sitting there going guilty, 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 rubber stamping all these things, and now he's got an opportunity to actually play. And we played a game of chess, and it was. I listened to the playback. I got him cornered at one point, and he was such a good player that he just waved it away, and I thought, oh shit, what do I do now? And in that moment of hesitation, he literally ran away with it, and he beat me. So I ended up with a fine of £895 for this. But I got the last laugh because I paid it with a promissory note. So it went away. Promissory note is what you're dealing with every single day when you use money. Yeah? Right. It's literally just a piece of paper. Like it could have been toilet paper for all it mattered. And on it, I put, I promised to pay the bearer the sum of £895. And I signed it, and I literally got 2 or 3 witnesses to sign that I signed it, and I sent it in to the clerk of the court with a note, cover note, because a promissory note in that fashion is exactly the same as cash. There's a famous court case where I think it was Lord it was either Dunlop or I can't remember his name now. Basically said that we've said repeatedly, the court has said repeatedly, that promissory notes should be treated as cash. So that's a High Court ruling that promissory notes are cash. And if you grab a £10 note out of your pocket, somewhere on that note it says, I promise to pay the bearer the sum of, it's the promissory note. That's all it is. Yeah. And so, and it also underlines the fact that money comes from you. right? Because you can write a promissory note for £1 million if you wanted, yeah, an unlimited amount, yeah. So literally, money does come from you, but that's a whole different topic.
So maybe money does grow on trees.
No, it flows from your hand. It flows from your signature. That's where the money is, because money just represents your energy. Yeah.
Time and energy.
When you get a loan, you promise to pay that loan back. Yeah, 3 times the amount. It means you promise to work. You promise to use your energy to get these fictional notes. Right. It's literally just a stand-in for your energy, your time and energy. And that's, you know, and that's,
it makes sense, because that is
currency.
The only real commodity is time and energy.
Yes.
My dad said the 2 things in life you can't get back are people and time.
And that's it, you know. They can use that energy to build an empire. They can use that energy to kill thousands of people. They can use that energy to do whatever they want.
You can harness it in whichever way they see fit. Yeah.
And they do that with little bits of paper. Or now increasingly in intangible digits somewhere in the cyberspace.
Yeah,
you know?
Well, that's where they are now. They're digital numbers, aren't they? I hope a lot of this is relating and resonating with everyone in the chat room as well. I don't expect we're talking about anything new under the sun. However, there may be things that you looked into a few years ago or delved into slightly that we're now regurgitating again, that's got you back on it again. Because I do think, like I said, this is a powerful tool to utilize when telling people that they've been lied to in the worst way possible about where they live, who they are, and why they're here.
Well, the thing is, money is a technology. It's literally a technology.
Like you said, it's a scam. It's a scam. It's a money scam. It's a big scam.
It was given to us by the fallen angels. You can read about that in the.
So many people have come to this arena that we're in now through the financial system scam. I know that lifting the lid, he's massively started his pursuit of truth after realizing that the monetary system was an absolute fraud, and he looked into the IMF, saw the Trilateral Commission, and went, this is what I'm putting my blood, sweat and tears into. Wow, you guys shafted me. So it's like, once you realize that veil drops, you realize you guys have got no decency. You guys are sick. So there's nothing that you wouldn't lie to me about. And people have this common misconception that you guys think everything's a conspiracy. No, everything's not a conspiracy, my darlings. Everything's a freaking lie. It's not a conspiracy. That's a big psyop. I thought that's a massive psyop, thinking that conspiracy theorists think everything's a conspiracy. All that's happened to most people that have begun out thinking that things are a conspiracy theory is realize that that's normally the first line of defense to Truman show people from stop looking into things. And it's just one of those nut job conspiracies like aliens and UFOs. Don't worry about all that. They're crazy.
You've got to be careful, because the word conspiracy is real. Conspiracy theory is the weaponized word.
That's the bit, like flat earther. Let's say it's been weaponized. And it's now taken so out of context, it's now used in an oxymoron state.
Sure.
That makes sense.
But everything is a conspiracy. A conspiracy is just a whole bunch of people getting together to do something, a bit
like
naughty.
When people say, flat earth theory, and people go, there isn't a flat earth theory, but what we see is observably flat. So why are you not saying it's flat earth then? Because I don't know what it is. It's just not a ball. It's almost like the terminology flat earth is now been labelled to someone that's pushing models and making claims. So if you go out as a flat earther to have a flat earther argument, they go, and they start being all silly, and it's not a civilized conversation. Whereas when you go in there attacking the claim that's been made and showing people, look, move away from the loaded words. Now let's have a civilized conversation. You've seen it at Speaker's Corner. It happens. They kind of go, oh, right, well, let's remove the silliness then. And if you want to talk about the claim that's been made, let's go, start. And then it gets heated. But it's like you said, once you remove those loaded words.
Yeah, well, that method isn't working anymore. The method of ridicule with these weaponized words doesn't work, because people are actually seeing that these conspiracy theories aren't theories. People. I went back to my old town in America, and you know, I alienated a lot of my friends then because I was talking about all this stuff and predicting all this stuff that was going to happen. And when I went back there, the overwhelming thing that kept being said is, you know, all that stuff you were talking about, I was like shocked to see it all happen, you know. So people are now starting to see that maybe these aren't just theories, you know, maybe there's something to them.
And I definitely think with a lot of the things that you've touched on, I mean it in the most complimented way possible, Dave. You were definitely ahead of your time. I kind of thought I was pretty clued up on common law and pretty well versed on things until I hit a couple of conversations at Speaker's Corner. I went, no, actually, my information's incorrect on that. Why? Because I haven't actually looked into it. I thought I did. I could have sworn I did. Did I not spend some time? No, I know what I did. Something else came out and I said, I'm going to come back to that. All I know is that it's not a conspiracy. It's fact. The details, the ins and outs and the tribulations of it, not as well versed on. And that's why I'm doing this now, because I'm hoping a few people, even if just one person that's watching this goes, you're right. I thought I've looked into this more as well. Do you know, there's a couple of other things there. Like I said, there's nothing new under the sun. I'm hoping just to trigger people into going, oh, yeah, I've heard that before. No, in fact, yeah, I remember watching Dave's video. That's really what where I'm trying to go, because I've watched your content and I found it mind-boggling. Just in you talking about Freeman-on-the-Land and, you know, exercising our rights to travel and the money scam. Like I said, there'll be a few people that'll go, yeah, I remember watching to it. Did I not watch it all? And they go back and they see the red line's only on a quarter of it. Oh, crap, I didn't watch it all. I thought I did, though. Funny that.
There's the larger picture of the restriction of right to travel.
Yes.
Is, you know, if you think back, you know, a few hundred years, yeah, if you know, you and me are in England right now, and you decide, you know what, I'm going to get in a boat and see, you know, sail across to France and maybe sail to Spain. You know,
nice.
you could just get in a boat.
Could I have just
find
done
some
that
way.
150 years ago, even?
150 years ago, you could have just done
Easy.
it because passports didn't come in until after the First World War. That was one of the reasons that First World War. Yes, before the First World War, there were no passports. You had
when did they come in? Before 1910 or after?
After.
I might have to look into that.
Yeah. So before the First World War, you had the right to travel anywhere you wanted. Yeah, you might not have been welcomed when you got there, you know.
Right.
Depending on
what,
but you still had the right to go anywhere you want. And once the passport system came in, it now locked you within the borders of the you know, the land mass that you were born on.
And the borders would have been guarded by some kind of marine port. And is that why we're in marine law, maritime law? Because the passes are to pass the ports of entrance and exit for the corporation countries. And it's like leaving work, isn't it? You have to sign in the building and you have to sign out the building. We cannot have you leave the building and not know you're not here in case of a fire.
Exactly.
In case of a natural disaster or event where we need to count the labour.
Yeah.
So to make sure our labour force is still intact.
It's a plausible, deniable, you know, story. But, you know, good point, you know, it's a port you have to pass, because if you think about it, you know, you could leave Southend seafront and sail off over to France if you wanted to, or anywhere along the coast.
No, it boils down to accountability. And accountability in the sense where our masters need to know where their employees are all the time, or their slaves. And I say slaves because I know people are bashing me for this left, right and centre, but I'm sorry to all those on the comment section that I offended, but I feel that in a few hundred years from now, if we don't try a little bit harder, people will still be as misinformed as they are now about modern day events that are going on. The victors are writing the history books. So if we're going to at least acknowledge that the history books have been written by the victors in the past, then who's writing them now?
For the most part, we're all, you know, we're already dumbed down and stupid because, you know, just look at this Brexit thing. You know, almost half the country think Brexit is a bad idea. You know, they don't know the history.
What's even worse is people have taken Brexit at face value, like McDonald's. That's what's even worse. People have taken Brexit for what it's been packaged as, us leaving the European Union government, and they've taken the European Union government at face value and bought everything that they've. I've had so many misinformed conversations at Speaker's Corner by the people that are there. Actually, I don't mean to cause any offence. You're all lovely people, for those that I've interacted with and I've had disagreements about. But as far as I'm concerned, I can't speak for anybody else. I've looked so far into, I don't buy into politics. The reason I don't buy into politics is like everyone else that doesn't buy into politics. I understand that they're puppets, international puppets. But in going down that pursuit of truth, you then investigate the puppets and realise very quickly, like a kid, Punch and Judy don't work on their own. They've got puppet masters. There's people inside those socks. Try having sock people in government. People that are acting on behalf of other people that are controlling them.
How well do you go along with the system? Now, up until now, it's always been covert. Okay, you know, you've got the appearance of freedom. You can do whatever you want.
Correct,
but
no.
Underneath is, if you go against this system, right, things are going to go hard for you.
Horribly
If you go
hard,
along
okay?
with it, then you'll get this perk and you'll get this perk and you'll get this benefit. But if you go against it, things go wrong.
If you be good, you can maybe have a car from Car Giant too, if you're lucky.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice Focus from Car Giant, a nice brand spanking new one, and then you can match all the other mummies that turn up at the school.
You can look at.
And if you take
like
your kids to
a
football
citizen.
on a Saturday, Soccer Mum Central.
Yeah,
Social acceptance, guys. You're
you
going to
look
Starbucks
like a
with all
good
the
citizen.
mums.
Yes.
All the mums are inviting you to Starbucks. You've won.
But now we're seeing it coming out of covert status. You know what's going on in China right now. That there is a full-blown social credit scheme going on. That your score is now determining what you can do in life, how you're going to go. You know, if you can travel on public transport or not. If you can get this benefit, you can buy a house. If you can do, it's all now tied into how good a citizen are you. And now it's
already. They've done
Sorry?
the social credit system in Asia already, haven't they?
Yes. And
It's already
they're
happened.
kind of
I feel that this is what a lot of the Huawei issue is about as well. It's funny how, coincidentally is coming from the same region that the social credit system is in play, and now Google's out of it with Huawei and whatnot. There's mobile phone companies from Asia that are now being accused of spying on America and all sorts of, and it's all a front. It's all a front for, I feel that we're living in a time where we quite possibly are witnessing the change of the old guard in some way, shape or form. And I feel that us as we the people are manifesting that somehow as well with what we're doing. I feel there is somewhat of a social change going on, but I do feel that there is also higher up with the puppet masters. And I feel that's what Brexit is. That's what the front of Brexit is. I feel that Europe is trying to keep this country within the deep state's guise, and the prime minister of this country, which is a puppet in my eyes, is not strong enough to pull away from the dark. If that makes sense.
That's still looking at it at the level of the theatre story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because as I said, this is biblical. Yeah. We are seeing the change in the old guard because their blessing, which started at the Renaissance, and has lasted for 500 years. But in the Old Testament, it would say forever. It would say for things about forever, and that forever usually meant 1,000 years. Okay, so literally, sorry about the noise in the background.
Okay. It's all right.
So the brother Esau got a temporary blessing, right? Warfare and deception. Okay, living in the best places through warfare and deception. Now that started in the Renaissance. We're coming to the end of that. His 500 years, his temporary blessing, and that is the guard that's changing. Their system, this system that we're all living in, is Esau's Roman Empire. And it's falling apart. That's what Brexit is. It was. They assumed arrogantly that everybody had been conditioned enough to love the EU, you know, to want to stay in it, and they said, oh yeah, you can have your little vote, and everybody voted, or most people voted for leaving, and it was like, well, oh no, they want to leave, and that's why, you know, there's no way we are going to leave, even though.
And I feel the guise of the guard that we've been under since the Renaissance is a satanic guard. They worship Satan. I do feel that they worship evil forces. And I do recognize that maybe for everything I can't explain as an individual, I do feel that there are some supernatural plays at stake within this reality. And I do feel that the upper echelons of things definitely worship dark forces. And like you said, if we're watching and witnessing the systemic demise of the old guard, then I know it won't happen overnight. I know that probably for the rest of my life, I'll be witnessing the things that I'm witnessing, and I have to do what I have to do.
I think we're seeing it accelerating now. This is
by far,
this is the year of release. So so we're seeing it accelerating this year. You know, between this year and next year, we're going to see some amazing things happening. You know, this system has been trying to start a war with Iran for decades. Yeah, they've been trying to make sure that we are completely vaccinated. You know, everyone has got a massive cocktail of vaccination, so they're physically and mentally weak. Okay, it hasn't worked. They've been doing all this stuff. It's not been working as it has been working before. Yeah, their system is crumbling. Yeah, they've been trying to get rid of the monetary system and replace it with their sort of imaginary system. They've been trying to do that. They've been trying to collapse them, you know, collapse it all at once. It's not been working. So what we're seeing is a slow collapse of this empire, as foretold in the Old Testament. So I'm going to tell you that I believe it's going to happen. You know, we're going to see it all come to pass in the next few years, within the next 5 years.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Because I did a video called Prophecy and Judgment.
Yes.
And and in it I showed that you know, the Most High tells us with signs in the sky, and America, which is the focus of this world at the moment, the focus of this empire. America got a big sign
of it. You know?
So America got the big sign in the sky, the Great American Eclipse, and it was, you know, I showed how it was literally prophetic, but it also showed that exactly 7 years on from that eclipse, there was a second eclipse that goes across the first eclipse, you know, like causing an X. And it just so happens to be, you know, that where that X crossed is a very important spot for the future of America. So I believe America is going to be utterly destroyed, you know, soon after that second eclipse. So I'm saying that all these amazing events are going to be happening within that 7-year period. Seven's a very important number as far as the Old Testament is concerned. Everything is, you know, done in sevens. So 7 years between these eclipses, you know, can't be a coincidence.
No.
And I literally don't believe in coincidences at all.
No, I don't either. You know, how many coincidences need to happen before they become mathematically impossible? And I know we can create a lot of magical things like unicorns in maths and stuff, but come on, you know, what are the chances of the amount of coincidences that are going on within this reality, in this realm, that it's like, no smoke without fire. No smoke without fire. So in your opinion, with regards to who we are, how we are disconnected from who we are, with regards to people being moved internationally across this realm, how does that fit in with the narrative of now, right now? The pigmentation on your skin is different from my skin. It's different from an Asian person's skin. It's different from, you know, an Indian person's skin, a South American person's skin. To me, this is going to sound so primitive, but why do human beings ignore all the obvious similarities and yet still stay divided? Like, why is it that some pigmentation differences, a little bit of differences in hair, a little bit of differences in culturally upbringing, fundamentally keeps us so apart?
Well, there's a couple of things that, a couple of misconceptions here. We're not meant to be together. I'm just going to put that out there. We're not meant to be together. There were several nations of people, and those nations were given land allocations, separate from each other. Yeah. And, there were curses associated with, people given one land mass or one geographical area moving to another one. That was forbidden. It still is.
Right.
It's the law doesn't change. So there were
The
this
people
idea
do, the
of,
laws don't, in that sense.
exactly. But it's only a new age and a New Testament idea that everyone should be together and we're all one and all that. We're not all one. As you said, there are differences in different nations. It's not about race. It's not about race. It's not about skin color. It's about nation. And the people at the top know what nation they belong to, and they know what other, who the other nations are as well. But we've been brought into this new age idea that, we're all one, we're all the same, we're all the same. We're not all the same. There are humans here and there are non-humans here.
Yeah.
There are human hybrids here, masquerading as humans. Okay, and if you can't grasp that fact, then you're never going to understand what's going on in this world.